Greetings on this day of Saturn. Um, Someone once said to me that I was going to hell for messing with this new age stuff. I had to politely inform them that, first of all, I don't believe in hell. The closest thing to hell is our own personal hell that we put ourselves through in this world here. The other thing I had to let them know was that it was their religion that was the new age stuff. What I work with is old, very old. These occultic practices that I work with. The divine science of my ancestors, and there's also some past life stuff going on there. So this is not the new age stuff. It's been around a long time. Matter of fact, the oldest the oldest spiritual systems on this planet is goddess worship. And it's been here much longer than, say, Christianity, Judaism, Islam. I think at the oldest, Judaism has supposed to have been around 2,500 years. But spiritual goddess worship has been much longer. For example, the Venus of Willendorf. It's a small statue, figure of a very voluptuous woman. A goddess is about 30,000 years old. Then you have the Venus of Hafels. Same thing, a very shapely woman. That one is about 40,000 years old. So goddess worship has been around a very long time. The occultic practices have been around a very long time. As a matter of fact, in Canaan, the ancient land of Canaan, they worship the goddess Ashera, also known as the Lady of the Sea, which is that's kind of affiliated with Tiamat, that water chaos, primordial type energy. They worshipped Ashera in the land of Canaan for a very long time, until a group of, I'm going to say a group of radical Levitical Hebrew Israelites, Canaanites, Levitical priests that looked like me, overthrew the divine matriarchy. And they introduced the god El. The god El later became Yahweh. And we know that Yahweh is synonymous with Saturn. Saturn, Sabbath, Shabbat, Saturday. That's well documented. And you see, that's a little thing that these Khazars, these modern day Khazars, do not like to admit, is that Judaism is really initiated as a Saturn cult, and it still is, many ways. And if you look into it, you'll see all the signs there. Okay. Yeah, but that, you got Yahweh, then they worship Yahweh and Saturn. Out of Saturn came, out of Yahweh came Islam and Christianity. Okay? And one thing interesting that I've noticed about these New Age religions is that, you see, every planet has a light side and a dark side, an angel and a demon. And they use the dark side of Saturn to propagate these New Age religions. For example, Saturn, on the light side of Saturn, as a benefactor, you have things like discipline, wisdom, material success, wealth, determination. All of these things pertain to the light side of Saturn. The dark side of Saturn, which they use, deals with things with bonds, binds, slavery, covenants, contracts, time, decay, rigidness, overly authoritative. That's the dark side of Saturn, and this is what they're using. And these religions use this Saturn energy, for example, for imperialism, enslavement. They went throughout the world. Think about how many people have died in the so-called name of God. Christianity, Islam. Billions of people have been killed in the so-called name of God. It's almost as if Yahweh is, a bloodthirsty God. And if you look at it, even in your Bible, you'll see, look at how many people he killed and look at how many people that the devil killed. Compare them. You see, Abraham made a blood covenant with Yahweh. A covenant, there's that word again, covenant, bond, contract. Yeshua came and he was sacrificed as a lamb, a shedding of blood for atonement. So you see this constant play out of blood sacrifice. You see, Yahweh needs that blood. And for me, not in a literal sense, but I know that blood represents a life force. So you have a life force that Yahweh needs. It needs your blood. It needs your life force. You see. So here you have a so-called God that many people worship, but it needs your life force. Think about that for a minute, okay? So now you have the worship of Saturn. The worship in Saturn began in Canaan, and it translated into religion. Remember, religion wasn't around before that. It was spiritual systems before that. And then these spiritual systems, these New Age religions took these spiritual systems and they codified them. They dumbed them down. They objectified them, politicized them, weaponized them. They boxed them up into a cube, see? Which kind of reminds me, when they're praying at the wall, if you look closely, they have a black box strapped to their head and to their arm. It's called the tefillin. The black cube, the black box, represents Yahweh. There's a symbol on it. It's a fire symbol. It represents Yahweh. Okay? And what it's saying is that Yahweh is binding to their hearts and minds. They are submitted, their minds and hearts, to Yahweh. And it represents the covenant, the bind, the bond. There's that word again. Contracts, covenants, bonds. You see? And so you have the beginning of the black cult here. The black cube cult here. And if you do a little research, you'll see that it's hidden in plain sight. It's in a lot of different places. Okay? There's an old saying that true power hides in the shadows. That still applies here. For example, Islam. If you look at Zahul is a deity with a Saturn affiliation. Now, you won't find it in the Quran, but I know it's in a lot of Islamic literature. And then you have the Kaaba. Now, the Kaaba is that black cube, that black box in Mecca, which Muslims go there and they walk around it several times. Okay? Now, the word is that they walk around, it represents the ring of Saturn. That's what they say. Okay? But I have a deeper insight into that. Once again, you have the black cube, the black box, just like you have the tefillin. But what a lot of people don't know is on the corners, down at the bottom of one of the Kaaba, there's a black rock encased in a silver yoni. Okay? You should be able to pull it up. You take a look at it and you'll see it. All right? The silver yoni, you know what a yoni is? And even though these patriarchal New Age religions try to hide and overthrow, they overthrew the great mother and try to hide it. It's still certain things in plain sight that you can see evidence of the great mother. We know what a yoni is, right? Okay. So that's evidence of the great mother. So where did it come from? Well, it goes back to Muhammad. Muhammad came up in a tribe that was assigned to guard the the divine mother, to protect. In his case, it was the triple goddess, Al-Alat, Al-Uzza, and Manat. But something happened. Muhammad overthrew, turned on the divine feminine, and introduced Allah. And it's been a patriarchal religion ever since. Okay? Then you have Christianity. The thing about Christianity is that it seems, the beautiful thing about it is the original Christianity, when it first came, it was a very spiritual teaching and philosophy. And I do believe Yahshua existed, but he was not the Messiah. He was not the anointed one, was not the savior of the world. See, every now and then the universe sends us a messenger, a prophet, to remind us. So Yeshua came and brought a very spiritual message, but they took that message, and we all know they pleasurized it and weaponized it. But Yeshua came and had a very spiritual message, and Yeshua broke open that box, literally. I mean, think about it. If you would take a black cube, and you were to open it, it would form what? A cross. So Yeshua opened that cube, that box, in the form of a cross through a spiritual system. And if you really want to know the true Christianity and what it's about, I highly advise you to read the Gnostic scriptures. It gives you spiritual insight into the scripture. Now, you're not going to find these in your Bible, regular King James Bible. No, you got to go in and find the Gnostic scriptures, the Apocrypha, or even the Ethiopian Bible. It gives you insight into what Christianity was really like in the beginning. So Yeshua came and he opened the box, all right? But something else happened. Then came Catholicism. Now, if you're familiar with Catholicism, we know that there's a lot of dogma involved, traditions. So what happened? It came and they objectified the spirituality of Christianity. It closed the box back up, you see. And they do it through their traditions and dogma. Once again, Catholicism, cult of the black cube. It all goes back to the black cube. The black cube goes back to Yahweh, and Yahweh go back to Saturn, you see. Don't get caught up in all this dogma and tradition so much. It binds you. These blood covenants. Be careful, okay? So, and fast forward to modern day, the black cube cult is still in full effect. It's in politics, it's in education, it's in judicial systems, educational systems. When a judge comes out, what is he wearing? A black robe. When people graduate from school, the hat that they have is a square, it's a black hat. It represents that cube. Okay, I'm telling you, it's hidden in plain sight. Use your discernment. Another example as far as the corporations. You ever heard of the BlackRock corporations? Now, if you don't know what the BlackRock Corporation is, I advise you to check them out. Because more than likely, they own something of yours. I'll put it like this. The budget of the United States of America is, I think it was last year, was $7 trillion. Okay? The assets of the BlackRock Corporation is nearly $14 trillion. We're talking trillions here, not millions, not billions, trillions. So the assets of the BlackRock Corporation are twice the budget of the United States for fiscal year. Now, what's wilder is that the BlackRock Corporation has a potential investment pool of $70 trillion. That's really how much they have or worth. So the United States fiscal budget every year is $7 trillion. BlackRock Corporation, $70 trillion. They hold nearly all of the debt in the world. Anytime you do a loan, you get into a contract or anything, they own the bank that owns the bank that owns the bank today. They're behind the scenes. They are in the shadows. And another thing that's interesting that just came to me is that um, the BlackRock Corporation has 70 offices around the world. Moses had a Sanhedrin of 70 judges, you see. So I don't take numerology lightly. It's a pattern. When you begin to see those patterns, the universe is is speaking to you. Okay. And what's interesting is now is that as we ease into this age of Aquarius, I think we entered the age of Aquarius around 1900. To be honest with you, you know, I think we've been into it for 100 years now. With Pluto in Aquarius now, it's kicking into high gear, so everything's being more obvious. When we were in the age of Pisces, they use which Pisces represents, dreams, visions, religions, music, news. They use those things to manipulate the people. But what a lot of people do know is that Saturn rules over Capricorn, but they don't know that Saturn rules over Aquarius as well. You see? And Aquarius deals with innovation and technology. So as we transition over into this age of Aquarius, just like they tried to use religion or did use religion in the age of Pisces, they're going to use technology and innovation, or try to attempt to in this new age, but they're not going to be able to do it because something has happened. Something is different this time. There's a higher energy, a higher consciousness in the universe that's stepping in, because what has happened on this planet in the last 2,000 years has thrown off the balance of the universe, not just on this planet, but the universe. And I can say that because everything's connected. And so now there's a higher consciousness on a higher cycle stepping in and be like, no, we're going to shut this down. So they're going to attempt to try to use technology to manipulate people. And they're going to use, and the thing about them, or they, and I know you always hear people say, who are they? Who are they? I'm going to make another video and let you know who they are. But they're going to try to use old tricks. The thing about them is it's not that intelligent, what they do. It's very simple. They use low vibrational magic. And frankly, I'm not impressed, but they're good at what they do. Okay? They're going to try to use technology. They're going to try the same thing using the black cube. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, what is the modern black cube of today? The modern black cube of today is that stupid box, the television. Do I need to go there? I need to talk about how television manipulates us. An even worse tool or weapon that they have is the smaller black cube, and you're looking at it right now. It's your cell phone. Now, we all know that social media dumbs us down. It's like it drains your consciousness. We know that. It doesn't take a lot of discernment to know that. We know we need to limit our time. You see? So this is what the ops are doing now. Okay? Just want to give you a heads up, because there's an old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. You got to know what your ops are doing. Okay? If you want to win this game. But this is how it all began. And that's where Saturn worship began, which is interesting because when I go way back, the ancient Kemites, they knew about the planets. They knew about the gods, but they didn't worship not one single thing. No planet stood out. Same thing with the Sumerians. The Sumerians honored and invoked 7 planets that we know of. Didn't worship, didn't have a priest, didn't have an institution, anything. Every person just did a 7 planetary invocation. They prayed 7 times a day, which is where Muhammad got it from. Initially, it was 7, but Muhammad changed it to 5 prayers a day. Once again, they knew about all 7 planets, but did not worship. Planetary worship, Saturn worship did not come on the scene until the ancient land of Canaan. And if you do not know what the ancient land of Canaan is, I will say look it up. I'll let you, I don't want to say the name of the modern day now because the algorithm out here be ear hustling. But you know what I'm talking about. And the Khazars took it and ran with it. Like I said, what they do is not very impressive, low vibrational, but they're good at what they do. Okay? All right, so you know me, every time I talk about something, I always have a resolution. So some of the things that you need to do, I would say, unplug from the black box. Spend less time from television, social media. Get out in nature more. All right? Go to a tree. Trees are doorways to the spirit realm. Ground yourself. Walk barefoot in the grass. Okay? Release that negative energy. You'll feel it flow through. Find yourself some green grass on a nice day and walk barefoot on it. It will rejuvenate you. Okay? Embrace the divine feminine. You see? It started with the overthrow of the divine feminine, and it's going to end with us putting the divine feminine back on the throne. Now, as a man, you know, when I talk about the divine feminine, a lot of times people misinterpret that, think I'm trying to feminize a man. No, I'm a man. I like being a man. I have masculine energy. I like being a man. But I'm talking about the divine feminine here and real sacred masculinity. True divine feminine energy synergizes masculine energy. It makes you more of a man in many ways. Okay? Separate yourselves from these secret societies, political affiliations, these groups, these fraternities, these sororities, because when you go into them, you create, you agree to a covenant or bond. Once again, there's that word, covenant, bond, contracts. It's a black box entrapment. I've been on both sides. Freemasons, fraternities, sororities. Okay? It needs your energy. They want your energy, your life force. The black box is designed to siphon your energy for itself. Remember that. Read the Gnostic scriptures. Okay? Look up some of the Gnostic texts. If I get an opportunity, if I remember, I'm going to post a link in there with all the Gnostic scriptures that you can read. It's a very good website. And what it does what Yeshua did. It gives you an idea of the true spirituality of Christianity. And it opens out. It's great for those of you that are transitioning from religion into your own occultic and spiritual practices. The Gnostic scriptures. Take a look at it, okay? And meditate. I can't emphasize that enough. Meditate. If you can't meditate for like a minute or two, go within. Know thyself. The next thing is be genuine. If you can't do anything else, be genuine. Be real to yourself. Be authentic. I'm finding out it's hard. Authentic, genuine, real people is rare nowadays. Everybody's living under the umbrella of their ego. Everybody got a mask on. Be real, y'all. First of all, be real with yourself, and then you can be real with others. Okay? And finally, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. That's the key, and really that's what it all comes back to. Know thyself, because spirit is there in the divine feminine, and the spirit itself is divine feminine. Okay? All right, so I hope this helps someone. And just know what you're up against out there. Don't be afraid, though. It seems daunting, but greater that which is in you than anything that's in this world. Just remember that you have something, and that you are God, you are goddess. Okay. All right. In the meantime, know thyself and take care. Uncle Jessica.